check. Just a moment. All right. So we are live on YouTube. My name is Sukriti and I welcome all of you to a fantastic session where we have dignitaries from IPM Nalsar, and they're going to talk about what the program is around, what are the different questions that you have. You can post it in the chat box right away, students. We're going to take it up as and when you'll post it. And the students who are listening to me live on YouTube, even you can put your questions in the comment box. By the end of the session, I'll make sure that we do an open house, and there I'll pick up each and every question that is asked. So I welcome Siddharth sir and Pinaki sir on board. Before I start my session, definitely I would like to introduce both our dignitaries. Dr. Pinaki Nandan Patnaik, he's the head of the Department of Management at NALSAR, while Siddharth Chauhan sir, he's a faculty of law at the same institution. I welcome both of you on board, sir, and SuperGrads is very happy to have this collaboration with you.
Thank you, Supriti, and welcome to all the students. It's an opportunity, to talk to all the students on your platform again. It's been about a year, just about a year when we launched this program, and one of the first interviews that we actually did was on SuperGrad. So thank you. We are absolutely delighted to be here again.
We are more than happy because now, as we know that this is the second batch that is running, and I'm sure with full pace, the kind of expectations that not just we as SuperGrads have it, but also the students are having a lot of expectations from the program, and probably knowing all the things from your own side would be a great opportunity, not just for us, but also for the students. So I again welcome both of you on board, sir. Students would be more than happy to chit chat with you, and that is where, students, I am again reminding, put your questions in the chat box. Make sure that you ask each and everything from these people, because they are the right ones to tell you how amazing the program is. And for those who don't know, let me tell you, NALSAR is one of the leading law schools of the country. And when such a school has started a program in management, I'm sure there is a lot of brain involved to it, lot of thoughts that were involved. So of course, if I talk about the session flow for all of those who are listening to me live right now, we're going to talk a lot about campus life. So, sir, let me tell you that students are so much interested in knowing what exactly happens inside the campus. More than that, they should be preparing for the exam, but they are interested कि अंदर जाके हमको क्या मिलने वाला है. So we are going to have a lot of discussions around that. Yes. Course में क्या पढ़ाई होने वाली है, what is exactly the curriculum that is designed in a law school, and yet we are offering a management degree. That's the biggest question that students have. The co-curricular activities, kya admission process difficult hai, what is the eligibility criteria, what are the kind of companies that are going to come and absorb the first batch, and we're going to end up with an open house where all your questions are going to be picked up. So, sir, of course, the first question that I've been reiterating again and again, since I know it's a leading law school of the country, what were the real thoughts that came into the mind and you started with a program in management?
So let me first try and answer, and then of course Siddharth is also best suited to answer this question.
Sure. Sir.
So Supriti, and for the benefit of all the students, we started NALSAR, became one of the first law universities in the country, and of course being pretty high in stature, as we all know. NALSAR started its Department of Management Studies in 2013. And in July of 2013, the first batch of MBA students were admitted. Post that, I think about 2.5, 3 years after that, a lot of thought began in our minds, because we saw how Indore's IPM program was doing. And of course, we could definitely integrate downwards and say, hey, why not, right? I mean, we have the faculty, we have the program, we have the department. Now we should increase our reach and try and do what top IIMs are doing. Yes, we started thinking about it since 2016, but at NALSAR, the concerns of quality are very high and are taken very seriously. So various rounds of meetings, must be more than 50, 60 different times of meetings. had to take place, and every time we came to a conclusion as to how the program should be, UGC or the MHRD or the Government of India would throw in a small little pivot. And then, of course, eventually the NEP came, and the program that we have right now is designed keeping the NEP in line. So there is exit after 3 years, the exit clause after 3 years that you can actually have. There are also possibilities of learning not just plain vanilla management, but at the end of it all, managers or leaders or business leaders, business tycoons, champions of the industry, all of them are human beings.
Correct.
And at NALSAR, we have made all possible attempts to curate a program that is socially just. It produces socially just managers who understand the relevance of being human and treating the others as human. Which is why you will find a lot of courses which are, well vetted with the law school, with the humanities, the Department of Humanities and Social Sciences, and in terms of management. So it's not just a plain vanilla management course. It's much more. Today, of course, we have skill building courses. We have electives which are generic in nature, which give you functional knowledge. But a lot of the integration of knowledge that we read about in books is seen in action in the IPM program at NALSAR.
I think that's a fantastic thought, because the way you were emphasizing on the humanitarian skills part, probably I don't think, I'm not pinpointing any other management school per se, but then I think that this thought was probably not there. As per my understanding and experience for the past decade, what I realized that if we had this thought in mind, I think we are already sorted for the upcoming batches that are going to get enrolled at IPM.
True.
Over to you, Siddharth, sir.
Yeah, so I just wanted to add a few reasons to what Professor Pinaki is saying. So I am actually in the law school. So my interaction with management students in the last 8-9 years actually was quite limited. Primarily, I'm teaching constitutional law and legal theory. So I'm primarily interacting with the LLB and LLM students. But one of the reasons why I think it made sense for us as an institution to start the IPM was that we did need to expand. So you know that national law schools are all very small institutions. Our intakes are very small. And if you are following the CLAD brochures, our intake also has gradually increased. For instance, in NALSAR, up till 2014, the intake in the 5-year BLLB used to be only 80 students. Then in 2015, we made it 120. Then in 2020, it has become 140. And now next year, it will become 160, because there are also many other newer forms of reservations and policies which we have to follow. So our basic decision was that if you have to think about NALSAR growing into a multidisciplinary institution, which is what the national education policy requires, in what form should we expand, right? So obviously we don't have the resources or the capital to suddenly expand into 4 or 5 departments. That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
And as Professor Pinaki said, even if we expand, let's say in a small way, we need to think about whether we have the right faculty resources, whether we have the residential facilities, and whether we'll be able to deliver on what we promise. Because we can't make promises and then just leave our students hanging in the air. So a lot of discussion happened. In fact, between 2016 and 21, the big debate which was happening between us was, should we start a 3-year LLB first, or should we start a BBA, which we did an APA? And I should tell you, I mean, because some students might be thinking about CLAT and other options also, that we are actively thinking about starting a 3-year LLB, but that may not be possible this year. It may happen in 1 or 2 years from now, but we have the formal permission and we are thinking about it. So that was one of the options which we had. But then we realized that our MBA department, which Pinaki and his colleagues had built up from scratch, was forging very strong connections with business activities, especially with the Telangana hub, and with Hyderabad being a strong center of job creation. So we felt that if we really had to expand at this point in time, IPM was the most logical choice. There were other options. We could have gone for a 3-year LLB. We could have gone for an MA in social sciences. We could have done other things also to expand our student size. But under these circumstances, and especially with the pandemic, we felt that starting the BBA, which would then be integrated into the MBA and form an IPM, was the most logical choice. Now, to be very frank with you, this was not a choice which was unanimous. Even within our own alumni, even within our own faculty colleagues, many people, in fact, initially were quite skeptical as to whether a law school should start a program like this.
Exactly the thought that came in my mind.
Yeah, in fact, you can see some of the students arguing with me on social media, and those comments are public, and we are having a back and forth. But that's the beauty of being in a public institution, that you can
Absolutely.
debate freely and you can argue your way out. And then we were also able to explain to our students and our recent alumni that there are many reasons for starting this program. One is, of course, the overall financial health of the institution. Let's be very honest. In today's day and age, government support for universities is not what it used to be. So we need to think about our resources, need to think about the number of students available, who are paying fees and joining. So we'll be very frank about that. But at the same time, our desire to expand the university also cannot compromise quality. Yeah. So we had to factor in all these things, and that's why we started with a very small intake. I know this will be one of the questions which will come. Why is the NALSAR IPM having such a small intake? The point is, we have limited resources with our hostel, and our faculty is still growing. So we are offering what we can manage. We suddenly cannot announce an intake of 120 or 200 because we cannot manage those numbers. So which is why last year we started with 60 odd, and now this time, including foreign national seats, it's around 80. But this is possibly the number we can manage, and we can nurture these students over the next 4 to 5 years. So these are the major reasons which I'm giving you as the internal reasons for why we've started the BBA MBA. I know there are many people who are critical of it, but we will try to convince them, and we'll try to persuade them as our students join us. And the first batch, in fact, has had a very good time on campus. So we'll try and talk about their experiences also.
Definitely. So what I understand is, definitely having these internal reasons is something, like you said, that there must be some critical people having these thoughts. But at the same time, I personally feel counseling these IPM aspirants for such a long time now, that it's a great thought to think that how a grade 12 student who is already clear that he would like to pursue a course in management or maybe have an MBA degree, why not prep him up right from grade 12? Because it's more like it is easy to mold the child. It is easy to teach him everything versus somebody who has done a graduation and then doing an MBA thing. I feel it is a difficult and more tough battle to pick when it comes to a student of grade 12 versus somebody who is graduated. Pinaki, sir, you were saying something. Yeah.
Sukriti, just to put things in perspective and context, one of the things, at least at the law school, we actively do and we consciously follow is that we do not genderize who is a student.
All right.
It's probably embedded in our mind as to how we refer to students. But just to give you a small example, I'm sure it's very unconscious. But the moment you started talking about a grade 12 student, what comes to your mind is he and him.
Correct.
Now, that is exactly what we want to break through. We do not genderize our students. Our students are our kids. And one of the most important courses that I believe personally we have in the IPM program is gender justice. Today, the world, it is, I think it is the only IPM program in the whole country which has a mandatory course on gender justice. And it is very consciously put there because to me, a student is a student and a learner is a learner. I mean, them and me are not any different. If I don't learn every day and walk into the class, then they are not learning anything either, right? So my imagination of a student has to be of 7 years ahead. And that is the beauty of this program that we have borrowed from NALSAR. That, at NALSAR, in the eyes of law, everybody is equal. And that's one thing that I have in my IPM program. That's my favorite course. Just to give you a perspective as to what we do in the program.
That's really nice, because what I understand, that's how a good B school or maybe a good national level college makes and stands out from any other local school. Because as Siddharth was saying, I was just having thoughts in my mind that being honest is another, I would say, a thought that should come to our mind when we talk about any of these courses. We cannot simply make up promises and then we fail to fulfill them. I think that is how NALSAR is standard. So I already had that question in my pipeline in that PPT, but then I think that is already being answered. Well, moving ahead, so sir, definitely, because students are listening to us, they really want to know that what kind of age group, or maybe a student of grade 11, 12, a grad, who can be a part of this particular program, who can write the exam and get through. Yeah.
So, Sukriti, we do not We don't conduct our own test.
All right.
So there are 5 tests that we consider.
Okay.
And the rationale behind using those 5 tests is so that the horizon is broadened, and if a new opportunity has come through, then as many as possible must be able to run the race.
Correct.
So we have IIM Indore's IPMAT, IIM Rohtak's IPMAT, then we have JIPMAT, IIT JEE, and of course CLAT. Now, in any of the exams, if there is an age bar, then I can't really do much. Whoever writes that entrance exam, scores well, and of course applies to us, is a potential student. Now, I also believe that in CLAT undergrad, no, we do not take the CLAT postgrad for the IPM program, but I believe in the CLAT undergrad, I don't think there is an age bar.
Yeah, there's no age bar. Correct.
If in the CLAT undergrad exam there is no age bar, then we also do not have any age bar. Learning can happen at any point in time. It is not upon us to say who can and cannot learn.
That's another beautiful thought we have. So if you can repeat the names, I'll just put it in the chat box. We have CLAT UG, JIPMAT, IPM Aptitude Test. What are the 2 other names?
IPMAT Indore, IPMAT Rohtak.
All right.
And of course, JIPMAT.
Rohtak. I'll put this in the chat box. All right. Sure. So students, this is important because this is the first key takeaway that we should take from the people here whom we are listening to, because I know that you are referring to our websites, you are referring to the institution's website, but then still having these notes handy is important, that which all gate passes that I can have in order to get through the course. And having a plethora of these exams, I think it in itself tells us that how big the opportunity to you is. Okay. So of course, as you said that there's no eligibility as such, but still, if anything that students should know, I would like you to highlight it.
So I think the process of admissions is also very important that people should know. I understand that with the QSET now, the central university exams that have come through, the importance of class 12th has now probably been downgraded, because otherwise people used to score really, really well. They used to study really hard and score well in their 10th and 12th class exams. But at NALSAR, we again thought that just because one student might not have scored very well on in that particular exam on that particular day, a lifetime opportunity should go away from them. So correct. We have spread our a list of merit in terms of 4 different criteria. How well you have scored in your 10th class exam. We have 12.5% weightage for the marks that you secured in your 10th class. We have another 12.5% for your 12th class exam. We have 50% weightage to the score that you receive in your entrance exams, which I just highlighted, your IPMAT, Rohtak, Indore, JIPMAT, CLAT, those exams. And of course, we have 25% marks for the declaration of merit on our interviews. Now, these are in-depth interviews. I think last time that we did, we must have spent at least 20 minutes with each student. And we had to interview like quite a lot of students. I think Siddharth spent like 7 days with us.
Oh my God.
Interviewing morning till evening, every single day. We are just because we don't want that the student is asked only one question and they can't answer that question, and that's that. So we want to give them as much opportunity as possible. So almost everybody had about 15 to 20 minutes time to discuss different things. And that's the total that we draw for our merit.
So, this is what I we tell our students that, the interviewers are not there to penalize you. They have this impression that, we are entering like a battlefield, that probably, actually, we did a couple of interviews with the IIMs as well. And there also, they actually express their views that we are there to know their skill set, because hame pata hai ki 11th, 12th and exam to de diya. Now, when they've made up to the interview, we actually don't want to ask them questions like, tumhare exam mein kya tha? We are probably there to judge them on another skill set. Correct.
Yeah, I mean, you then need to check their intent, right? I mean,
Correct.
are they really intending to do something with their lives and with the course of action that they have chosen? That's all. And whether they can form an opinion, right? In today's world, it's so important. I mean, I think Siddharth actually teaches the art of creating and having an opinion and then expressing it. And those are such relevant and important skills that I think it's again, I think we are probably again the only one who has courses like logical reasoning and thinking, kind of courses, constitution, law and business, constitution and business. These kind of courses are embedded in the program so that people can benefit by looking at things, having an opinion, a well-crafted opinion with informed opinion, and then being able to express it also logically, right? So articulately as well. So those are important skills that we will also teach. We just want to know whether you are ready to learn or not. Siddharth.
If I can just add on the
Absolutely, sir.
Since last year was the first time we did interviews for the undergraduate students. For the BBA program, actually BBA MBA, we had more than I think 700 applications last year, around 800. I think.
Oh my God, and itself is a number.
No, and initially we were thinking, is it fair to shortlist? But then we decided to conduct interviews with everybody. So that's why it took that long. But my only reason why I want to just say something is that last year's experience was that students who had been preparing for IPMAT somehow came across as much stronger in the interview than those who were preparing for CLAT, because CLAT is a written exam and largely is based on objective answers. So we did find that many of the students who were seriously preparing for IPMAT were actually performing slightly better in the interviews. Now, again, this is a generalization. I'm sure there are some exceptions. But more than that, I think I just want to emphasize what Professor Pinaki said, that we know we are a new program and we were keen to get students when we started the program. But it doesn't mean that we will take non-serious students.
No.
So one of the important questions that we ask in the interview is about the students thinking about why they want to pursue this program, whether it fits into their career plans, whether they have any aptitude or interest for these subjects. And to test them on a broader range of skills, our questions are not limited to economics or business, though that is the main focus. But we also ask them hypotheticals or questions based on political economy, current affairs. And we also try to test not just what they know, because see, in today's day and age, you can collect information from many sources. But can they think and respond to us confidently? Can they formulate their arguments step by step in a causal manner? Can they show to us a basic capacity for rigorous study? Those are things we are looking out for in the interview. Because a lot of students come to the interview thinking that, we will ask them a one-line answer and they will have a one-word response. That is not the proper way to prepare for an interview. Right. And remember, we are not going to be judging people just on the quality of their English, because India is a vast country. There are some people who go to elite private schools and their English is very good. There are some people who go to public schools, but English is possibly their second or third language. And there are students, who come from very difficult backgrounds and who struggle with English. So we're not judging you on the quality of English. No, we are not. We are judging you on the quality of answers. Are they well reasoned? Are they well thought out? Do they show a curiosity and awareness to learn more about the law and the business? So those are the aspects that we are trying to test in the interview. And once again, irrespective of how many applications we get this year, whether it is 1,000 or 2,000, we will hold the interview process very seriously.
Yeah.
So whether it takes us 1 week or 2 weeks, but we will do it. So,
I don't think there's any doubt in that. And so students, I think this is extremely important, because probably no institution can tell you like this apart from the institution itself. And see, that is why I believe if you're getting these insights, start making notes. Like literally, I'm making notes of what sir is saying. So sir, I really liked one point that I just had a webinar at 12:30 for the CLAT aspirants, and I realized that so that's what you just said is validating what I told them, that students often think that, if I put up my argument somehow, I'm going to be proven right. And that's where what Siddharth is saying, that's not going to be the case. You have to have a valid reason, a backing and evidence of fact behind what you argue. Because there were students who were asking that, what if my English is not good? What if I'm an introvert? How do I manage to such kind of things when it comes to an interview? So there, although CLAT doesn't have an interview as a forward integration, but then still such kind of questions were there. And I was forcing them to, do come and attend this one. And that's where I think, yes, sir, please go ahead.
I think Siddharth's point of language skills and our in some ways over dependence on English is so embedded in the kids' mind. I recall last year, several people, I think 200, 300 people must have connected with me on Telegram, and many of them asked, "Sir, I really want to get through to NALSAR, but my English is not good. What can I do?" I recall Siddharth and I were in the interview panel together last year, and for students who we felt made a lot of sense, but their language in terms of only English might not have been of really high, class. We gave them an opportunity to speak in their local language as long as it was Hindi and we could understand. If we could
Of course.
understand, they had an opportunity. And also it's important because in our faculty today, at least, we have people from down south to up north, west to east. And we cover quite a few general languages. I mean, Bengali is covered. We have Hindi, Bengali, Tamil, Telugu, Malayali. And then, of course, up north, I think it's majorly Hindi. So Hindi is covered. We also have Marathi. So we cover quite a few languages that way. And as I said, we want to give the kid as much chance as possible. It's a race in which everybody has to run, and at the same time they have to run without any handicap. And I don't believe that at NALSAR we have that kind of a mindset that without English or not knowing the language is a big handicap. That we do not want to have. We want to eradicate that.
And sir, I think that's a beautiful thought, because we all know that India is a country where the language, like we have got so many language around, and still students are fixating on the thought that I cannot clear an interview because my English is bad. We get
No.
so many students asking this, and I'm glad, see, students, this is, again, I'm quoting that, put up your questions which are related to interview, and see, sir is answering each and everything like with utmost honesty. That's what probably we all are here for. So, moving ahead, the next question that I have is admission process, because as even I was seeing the brochure and everything, I saw that it is a little exhaustive probably. So if you can ease it out and tell the students that this is how the step by step we should go ahead, probably it'll be great help. Yeah.
Sukriti, last time we experienced one major issue with the application form, and therefore the application form is also changed this time. In India today, there are several state boards. N number of states, 26, 27 states and state boards. Then we have international certification as well. And then we, of course, have CBSE, ICSE. So this time we wanted students to write to us in the form. They should fill up how many courses are the top 5 courses that they are choosing, and the marks that they're full marks that they can get, and the marks that they have gotten. That's one major change in the application form. That said, of course, last year my team sat down again for days at length and made sure that all of it is captured before releasing the merit list. The application process is fairly simple, I believe. If you visit our website, click on apply now, it will take you to a registration page. Once you fill up your details, it will send you a login and password to log in into the application form page. Then I believe there is the application fee payment page. I must also put across right now here that we are, I think, the least expensive in terms of the application form fill up as well. It's just 1,200 rupees for general candidates and 800 for others. And the category list is also given. Being a public university, our goal is not to seamlessly make money, right? So
that's fantastic.
We just want to ensure that the system runs, and as far as the system runs, that's as much as NALSAR picks up. And therefore, once you enter the application form, you fill in your basic details, your name, roll number, name, age, area, contact details, email ID, phone number. Then, of course, your class 10th scores. If you have not appeared, or if you have not received the 12th class marks, don't worry at all right now. You can always save and exit and then come back and fill the application form once the scores are announced, once the evaluation is announced. Similarly, your entrance exams also are due They haven't happened yet because of the pandemic and the cascading effect of the pandemic. So as soon as your entrance exams are over, you can always go back to the application form and fill in the details and upload the score sheet. Also, one other thing that we have also done is, let's say somebody has taken, and these are few questions that I usually get on my chat, on my Telegram chat. So I would just want to quickly answer them.
Sure, sir, sure.
I am receiving, my office right now is receiving close to 20-25 calls a day saying that, our IPMAT Indore exam is on 2nd or on 3rd, I think 2nd
July, 2nd July, yes,
July.
sir.
And the last date of filling up the application form for NALSAR IPM is on 10th of July. So what if I don't have my scorecard? How will I fill in the application form? And the application form would close. Now, we would want to reach out to the larger audience here through you and tell them that please do not worry at all. Once we are tied up with IPMAT Indore. All right, so we are partners to IPMAT Indore and IIM Indore. We will also know when the exam results are announced. Once the results are announced, you can always go back and fill them up. We will cross-verify it with the IPMAT Indore's office, and finally the call for interviews will go out. Please let your audience know, and through you, of course, as I said, I would want to know that please, they should not worry. Parents and kids are worried, and I understand that worry. It's not that I don't realize that and recognize that fact. I understand that, but through you, I just want to send the message that please do not worry. We are cognizant of the fact that the exams might happen and the results might not have been out, and we will wait till the results are out. We will give, once the results are out, we will give them 3, 4, 5, 6 days within which they must upload their scorecards before we close the portal.
Perfect. So this is such an important insight, because what I understand, yes, a similar set of questions even we get for exams that, either they have filled a wrong form or they get confused that we haven't yet got our scorecard. So how do we proceed? So this is extremely important, students, because the amount of fretting that you do while you're filling the form, probably that is now at ease by what Professor Pinaki has just mentioned. So that's an important thing. Siddharth, so would you like to add anything?
No, all I want to say is that since NALSAR is a very small institution and Department of Management Studies also, the numbers are not that large, we can actually respond to individual problems.
Yeah.
So in case, let's say the IPMAT score gets a little delayed, don't worry. Once you've registered on the application form, we have your data and you can come back to the form and upload your score as soon as you get it.
Yeah.
And the pandemic has had a lot of, effect over the last 2 years. Even in internal exams, I'm on the internal exam committee for the law students. And, we've had to make so many adjustments and so many changes just to ensure that our students graduate on time. So the entrance exam should be the least of your worries, because if your parents or you have filled up the fee, then it is our job to ensure that your application is fairly considered and you are given a full opportunity to upload your documents. So don't worry about it, because remember, even if some mistake happens, or even if let's say the timeline is very tight, we will ensure that you get a fair opportunity to upload your documents. But just make sure that all the relevant documents are uploaded. Your class 10 marks, then once your board exam results come, the mark sheets, and then of course, the entrance exam scores as and when they become available.
Yeah.
Perfect. So, sir, I think this was really, really important, because yes, I do understand students fear a lot. And, the most important thing that I understand, I would like to share the thoughts that I have in my mind, that they really fear to approach the institution. So I know that we are here to sell a lot of other things. And of course, we are in a collaboration. But trust me, we also tell the students that, you're free to write in case you've got doubts. And especially people like you at NALSAR, what I understand, very approachable. This is not flattery, but something which I really want to tell the students as well, that students stop thinking that pata nahi mail ka reply aayega nahi, main mail karu ya nahi karu. That kind of thought should not be there, because in a situation where we all are working for the students probably. So absolutely. So I totally agree with what sir said. And students, important points. Again, please put your questions in the chat box. So Harsh Raghuvanshi has a good question, that how can we score good marks in the interview?
Siddharth, mic is off.
Yeah. So I was actually developing that thread in the earlier answer. So let me address that.
Sure.
So Harsh, one aspect that I think we found where students could really improve from last year was current affairs knowledge. Because what happened is that some students were expecting that because people were doing the interviews online and their turns were allotted. So we also saw that some students were talking to others who were ahead of them in the queue and were trying to get a sense of the questions. Now that's okay. In the online mode, there are coaching services and students will collaborate. We know all this. So which is why every time we interact with a fresh group of students, we were also changing our questions. So we're not really testing you on specific knowledge in the sense that this event happened on this date or this person created a certain product. We're not testing you on memory, right? We are testing you on, let's say, if I give you in 30 seconds, I give you a hypothetical situation about how you would solve a problem. Then I want to see how you would respond to my question and think through your answer. Or for instance, if I ask you something about current affairs, then obviously it helps if you have some basic knowledge about that issue. So for instance, if you're reading the newspapers regularly, something like the Hindu or the Indian Express, which have very strong opinion pieces, our questions could be about politics, they could be about business, they could even be about culture or sport, because we want to see if you show in an interest in a certain area, how much you know about that area. In fact, another thing that we were doing last year, and we might repeat it again this time, is that very often students tell us about where they're from, which part of the country they're from, what their background is. So we try and also customize our questions accordingly. So I think the interview is not a fixed template, right? It's you guys are not machines that we have a fixed template and we will ask you to respond to those 7-8 questions. We are interviewers. We are also people like you. So remember, each interview is a customized interview. So sorry, I hope my
yes, sir, you're on. Yeah, now you're on.
Connection is not very stable, but I hope I can be heard. So,
yes.
So for preparing for the interview, keep 3 things in mind. 1, read the good newspapers regularly, especially opinion pieces, Hindu, Indian Express. If you're reading an economic paper, that's also a good idea. But I know class 12 students sometimes don't have the.
I think we lost Siddharth sir again. Yeah.
Second, try and improve your logical reasoning skills. Try and work on how you look at a premise, how you look at the implications of a point, how do you link things together in a clear logical form, and how would you present it in a spoken form. And I would especially say for students who are not taking training for interviews, try and do practice interviews. Either with your friends who are preparing, or with coaching mentors, or even people in your family, or ideally if you have cousins or friends who are alumni of business schools. Reach out to them, contact them, ask them to conduct practice interviews for you, because that will help you not just for NALSAR, but also all the IIMs as well. Because I know the IIM Indore interviews are also quite rigorous. So it helps if you have some people in your school circle or your alumni circle or your friends and family who have been to business school. They can really tell you how to prepare for an interview in a structured way. But remember, the NALSAR program is more interdisciplinary. Students are entering at the first year undergraduate stage. So we are teaching you a little bit of commerce, little bit of economics, little bit of politics, little bit of sociology. So our interview is going to be a bit more general. So concentrate on the skills and don't worry so much about remembering specific facts. If you have the basic logical reasoning skills, presentation skills, the ability to respond to us, then I think you will do well in the interview.
I think one important, Pinaki sir, please go ahead.
So in addition to what Siddharth has said, because he essentially is our champion in teaching these some of these courses, and from his busy schedule, he still finds time to teach these courses to the IPM students. Also, I think a few things that Siddharth has already mentioned. Another important thing is being able to curate, a very well-drafted reply or a response which is logical in sequence. Sometimes what happens, I recall last time I asked somebody, because I know all of you are training for interviews. So the first question that everybody asks in an interview is, tell me something about yourself.
Correct.
In that answer, I mean, if you really have to train somebody for that answer, all that you need to do is give them like a 90 seconds elevator speech. And they are good to go. Right? Everybody will curate their answer, right? So give them an elevator speech. But because we are at NALSAR and at least we try and do the same thing a little differently. I would not ask you that question at all because I know that you have been trained for that. So my question would be, can you tell me one thing about yourself that your best friend hates? That will tell me your weakness.
Correct.
And that will also tell me how well you can look within yourself, because change can only come from within. So if I do not have that ability to look deeper into myself, I will not change. And that's why those kind of questions will come. You have to now start imagining the same question in different contexts as well, right? Tell me something about yourself could also be, can you tell me what your worst enemy thinks about you?
True.
In a team, if you are a non-performing member, can you tell me what are the others thinking about you? So all of those will essentially tell me how well you evaluate yourself.
Correct.
This is the prep that the student should do.
So students, I don't think so that this kind of answer can be given by any coaching institute. Probably, to be very honest, see, I cannot blow my own trumpet all the time, but I want really that students should know that we are here to orient them. We are there to tell them what is exactly the right thing to do, because probably that's where the humanitarian skills comes into the picture. All right, so I'll take up another question from the student side before I go ahead with my structure. So, I don't know whether this is the right question to pick up, but still I would definitely like to take. So students really want to know that how is NALSAR different from any other institution that is offering the IPM program?
So, Sukriti, there are 5 IIMs which are offering this program right now.
Correct.
There is NALSA, there is IIFT, Kakinada, which is also started this program. And I am not sure, I'm not sure, but maybe IIM Shillong has either started it this year or will probably start it next year. But the announcement is already out. Now, all of these business schools are purely business schools.
True.
Right. So their fundamental, courses will still be purely business.
Correct.
But there are a few things to remember, and one among them is that law pervades everything. We don't teach it. We do not teach it. We teach moral science in classes, but we do not teach the fundamentals of the constitutional law to any of the students anywhere else. If they are not studying law, that means they should not know law. For that, there are lawyers to whom they will go when they are in a situation. The second thing is we also have a very robust humanities department, social sciences and humanities department. Now we try and include that department by offering courses like Indian polity and business. There is a huge impact of Indian politics on business. I would not want to go into specifics because I might have one line of thought, but I don't want to say it out loud. But if you are convergent with what is happening and what is possible, if the political situation in this country is like this, what kind of businesses are growing? Why are they growing? If something else would be in place, what might happen? I will give you one example. Look at the Russian-Ukrainian conflict. Now people started saying, "Oh, India should respond. Why is India not responding?" And best friend of Modi is Putin. Modi should immediately pick his phone up and ask Putin to stop all of this. India did not do anything. India abstained from voting also. Now, what is your understanding of that? Why did that happen is more important, right? Managers have to know why behind the how. We teach them how. We teach them Excel. We teach them financial modeling. We teach them marketing analytics. And these are some of the new courses that are also on offer. But at the same time, we try and take them back into the reality of it, back to the foundation of it, and tell them by learning Indian polity and business, you will understand which kind of political, the thought processes impact which kind of businesses and how. Is there a link? There's a very deep link, but we have to understand that link. That's how we are different.
I think the kind of insights that you're offering, sir, the kind of insight that you're sharing with us itself tells that how rigorous the program is going to be, how amazing the program is going to be, and how it's going to stand out from any other institution. So students, again, we're not here to do that versus thing. It's not about the comparison. Yeah, yes, sir. Pinaki, sir.
I think I should also make this point that, you know, on this year's International Women's Day, it was such an amazing sight to see hundreds of students, hundreds, not one or two, hundreds of students stood outside in the university campus with big placards saying that we demand and we take an oath that we will make all possible attempts to create equal opportunities and equal pay for our housekeeping staff, women housekeeping staff, so that they get access to the mess. Today, when you walk into NALSAR's mess, you will sit besides the housekeeping staff who might be a woman or a man and have your lunch or breakfast. That
Such
to
a
me,
beautiful thing.
that to me is what our IPM program is.
I mean, probably when we are talking about those skill set to be developed, which I was supposed to ask by the end, I think we already have the answers what kind of individual a student from IPM Nalsar is going to become by the end of 5 years. That's one of the most important skill that everybody needs, because probably we have business tycoons, we have fantastic lawyers, we have people all around, but are we really people? That is a thing probably that is being taught, and that's really fantastic.
Thank you.
So students, you're already getting answers to all these questions. So, okay, so I hope you all are already putting it up. I can see a couple of questions in the chat box. I'm even live along with the students who are there with me on our YouTube. So hold on to us, all the students who are watching us live on YouTube. We are going to pick up your questions as well, but in the open house. All right. So, of course, the question is already there on the screen. We would really like to know what kind of teaching pedagogy is adopted when it comes to the program at NALSAR.
So I think it's a broad mix, because we are getting students who are just class 12th pass. So we directly do not want to push them into simulations or case analysis. So the first foundational years, at least the first 2 years, will be lecture based. There are courses like maths 1, 2, 3, and then economics. Of course, a lot of project based live learning is also done, where students go out and do projects, and they learn by doing. So learning by doing, or action-based learning, is also one of the pedagogies that we have adopted. In addition to that, when you learn for 1 year, the first year when you learn courses like organizational psychology, then you have constitution and business, and then you have maths, and then you have principles and practices of basic management. The first internship by our students is in villages, because if you ask me, then true India lives in villages. Rural where access India is still not there.
Correct.
And how many of us actually know that is where India lives? So all our students, as we speak right now, all our IPM students are spread throughout the country, working with various NGOs in villages. They stay in the village for about 45 days.
So is that the internship only that we are talking?
Yes.
All right. Okay.
So when I said action-based learning, these are the action-based learnings that we have embedded. In terms of as they grow in their years with us, they will get into case analysis, simulation. We follow a SESIM based platform, which is also followed by almost all the IIMs and top B schools in the world. We follow SESIM for simulations. We follow role-based role plays. We also have case analysis and case-based learning. So I think it's a mixed match of what suits the learner best. I must also tell you that quite a few of our faculty stay in-house on the campus. And therefore, learning is not limited, at least at NALSAR, learning is not limited in terms of a timetable. Learning is essentially imagined seamlessly. So correct. While walking, I think Siddharth is the best example here, who spends hours standing and talking to students about concepts, clarifications, or even general issues and concerns, and they are sorted right then and there. I mean, I think NALSAR is a brilliant proof of conflict resolution through dialogue. I mean, a dialoguing method is one of the best ways of education. That's something that NALSAR really does and believes in.
No, I should clarify. It's mostly the law students who argue much more,
but backed by facts and evidences. The argument.
Our business school students are a bit more humble, but at least with the law students, what happens is, because this whole culture of argumentation is built into their curriculum. So even when it comes to basic campus management issues, in terms of especially with the pandemic, the scheduling of exams, or sometimes just the management of the campus. So those who are staying on campus are the first line of fire. So invariably, you're trying to take a walk in the evening and you have to resolve 5 or 6 student queries right there. But that's fine. I mean, that's part of our routine. But what I wanted to add was, on the formal teaching methods, we do get students from different school backgrounds, different levels of access to English, as I said earlier. So sometimes the first year can look a bit overwhelming. Obviously, as people spend time with us, as they learn from their peers, over time they become comfortable. But the first few months can become a bit overwhelming. I think with the first IPM batch, what happened is, because nearly 7 months of their classes happened online, and only the last 3 months happened on campus, maybe they did not face the kind of normal shock which college students face when they come away from home for the first time. But the reason I'm bringing up this point is because with the second batch, definitely when the classes start, they will come straight to campus. So having taught the law students now for about 10 years here in NALSAR and a few years earlier, I can tell you that the initial few months are not very easy. And it's not because the teachers are out to humiliate you or embarrass you or to make an example of you. It's very easy for an 18-year-old to start thinking like that. Sometimes it's also the peer pressure, because invariably the kind of school systems we come from, the kind of entrance processes we come from, create this culture of competition among students. And that is something, we can try and mitigate, try and control, but we can't prevent it. So students sometimes, they place unfair expectations on themselves. And I see it every year. I mean, in the law program, I'm normally teaching people in their third year and then in the higher classes. But for my colleagues who teach the first year students, they report that a lot of students, in fact, feel that their self-esteem is a bit low, or their confidence levels are not very high. So teachers have to put in a fair amount of time after class hours just to talk to them and to tell them that, look, it's a gradual process. It's a ladder which you will climb gradually. You can't straight away compare yourself to a fifth year student, or you can't straight away compare yourself to a successful alumni, because remember, they have gone through the same trouble and the same process before they were able to acquire these skills and knowledge. So my experience has been that in these small, highly selective institutions, this culture of competition and comparison is very intense initially. And it takes some time for students to understand that, look, they're not always competing with each other. I mean, there might be competition for the purpose of marks here and there, but by and large, you have to grow as individuals. You have to identify your own strengths, your own skills. So as they spend time with us, we also try and change our teaching methods. So for instance, as Pinaki said, in the first, second year, largely because they're straight out of high school, more or less, most of the subjects are delivered through lectures. But even within the lectures, remember, some of us may use a very interactive method.
Correct.
So rather than, speaking for 60 minutes and telling the student what the material says, I might pause every 5 minutes and call upon somebody and ask them to offer their opinion, or ask them a difficult question just to see if they were paying attention. Now, in the online classes, we know these things were not working, right? Because with online classes, everybody has suffered.
Some limitations were there.
But as soon as students came to campus, they realized it. And I had a chat with the IPM students about it, and they told us it's a very different experience. Because having a professor standing in front of you and constantly pushing you in a different direction, constantly asking you, that sense that you have to somehow speak in front of your peers is very different from sitting behind your laptop and passively listening. And at NALSAR, I can assure you that a majority of teachers are going to use an interactive method. So in many subjects, in fact, if you don't do the background reading, if you don't keep up with the coursework regularly, you're going to face difficulties. Because a lot of students think that, okay, it's a 3-month trimester, or for the law students, a 4-month semester, so we'll study in the last week. But if they do that, then they face serious problems. And so what is important is not that you have to burn yourself out, but you have to work regularly.
Correct.
Once you get into the program, you may have, let's say, around 20 to 24 class hours in a week, but make sure you devote 2-3 hours every day just to follow up on the material discussed in class, to read more about the topics or examples that were covered, and also to look at the assigned reading. So basically, for most subjects, you will already have an assigned reading material. In some subjects, there will be textbooks. In some subjects, there will be articles. In some subjects, there will be case studies. And then as they grow into the MBA component, then the methods become more diversified. Case studies are where they're given a fictional business situation and they're supposed to work out answers to that. In a simulation, they actually try to simulate what would happen when you're meeting an investor or what happens in an entrepreneurship scenario.
Just like we have a moot court in the law school.
Yeah, and yeah, this is mirrored in the law school, because for the law school, doing moot courts, competitive debates, ADR competitions is pretty much part of our DNA. So remember, there is a loosely comparable process which has happened in business school education. And remember, business school education started these practices much earlier.
Correct.
So historically, business school education has evolved much more than legal education in India. But the benefit is you will see both streams on your campus. And some of the courses, in fact, like Pinaki said, some of my colleagues who are teaching social sciences here for a long time, they will also be teaching the IPM students. We will be getting visiting faculty members, especially in the 4th and 5th year. When you have more practice-oriented courses, we'll be inviting people from industry and practice, and that is already happening. So whether it is MBA or our 4th and 5th year LLB students, or nearly 1/3 of the courses are in fact taught by visiting faculty members.
Correct.
Because we know that full-time teachers sometimes will not have that practical knowledge or industry knowledge which is needed by the students. So to give you an example, in this semester, in the law program, we had visiting courses on transfer pricing, or on international taxation, on restorative justice, on areas which our regular faculty cannot deliver.
Correct.
Similarly, on the management side, you will have visiting courses in areas which are cutting edge, right? Connected to innovation, entrepreneurship, digital payments, areas which students are literally reading about in the newspapers, and there is course content being given to them. So we will try our best to ensure that if there is a certain area or a certain topic on which our in-house faculty can't deliver, we get you a visiting faculty member. That's how we've tried to solve these problems in the last few years. And the lessons we have learned from our 5-year program, our LLM program, and the MBA program are also going to be applied to the BBA program. Correct. Because we work as a team. I mean, we might be now technically 3 departments: law, management, social sciences, and humanities, but we work together.
Yeah.
Very true. So what I understand, because the students of grade 10th, 11th, and 12th are listening to us, probably they need to understand that this is how the culture is going to grow upon gradually. Versus, and the best part is that students, you just heard, there are informal conversations, you can approach the teachers, and of course, right after that cocoon is broken, the shell is broken when you come out of grade 12. We are not denying the fact that it is going to be easy, but then it's going to be exciting, I'm sure. As the sir mentioned about the entire program, the details of what is going to happen inside, I would say you don't have to fear about what is happening, but rather enjoy as to right after grade 12, how these things are going to grow upon you. Pinaki sir, you wanted to add something.
So I just wanted to add to what Siddharth was saying in terms of access. One of the tougher courses, of course, is usually mathematics. And therefore, in this last term, when all the IPM students were here on campus and all their classes were on physical mode, our mathematics teacher essentially identified everybody who had scored below a threshold and gave them time on Saturdays and Sundays to sit down with them, created a peer-based learning system, PBL, where, from different age groups, mark groups, people were put into teams, and from the beginning till the end, the transformation was nothing less than magic. People who did not want to walk up to the board and solve a math question were actually more eager. By the time the term came to a close, they were very eager to actually walk up to the board and solve a question. They could, in fact, raise their hand up and say, hey, you know what, why don't you do this, which might also help get the answer easier and quicker than what you're doing. Now, that to me is an achievement, because today then we have made the students able and equal, at least our actions have led into them having gained some capability.
True. So, this is where I understand that I already have questions where students are saying that, where the maths is mandatory. So that definitely we know that 11th, 12th, the maths is not mandatory for getting into IPM Nalsar, but the ones who are aversive of mathematics, pure maths, you already have the answer that,
yes,
there is going to be something like peer-based learning, and the effort is going to be put in by the team Nalsar that, okay, we are there to help you out, because this is such a I would say students hold back to it, that maybe the maths achhi nahi hai, pata nahi how will I perform perform, whether I'll be able to clear the exam. And let's say good news is that they cleared the exam, then they have another pressure. How will I perform with the student who had a maths background? So you already have answers, students. The teachers are there to help you out, like literally. And that's how you'll score, you'll nail your exams and so further.
Yes.
All right. So moving ahead, I think this question was already answered in between that, how is IPM program at NALSAR standing out with, all the rest of them? But maybe Siddharth, sir, if you would like to add another point that students should know.
I think Pinaki did clarify how our design is different from the
Correct.
IIMs, because we possibly have a stronger social science component.
Yeah.
Because we already have the faculty who has been teaching the law students earlier. And remember, our social science faculty are not just teaching undergraduates. Most of them are also teaching optional courses for the 4th, 5th year LLB students and also the LLM students. And recently, a lot of time has been spent on improving our PhD program. So in fact, one of my, we can take names because they are in our faculty. One of my colleagues who teaches political science has done excellent research on prison reforms in Telangana. And in fact, he has appeared in the high courts. So he's both a political scientist and a lawyer. And this time we have convinced him to teach one course in the IPM. So, you will see that he will bring his knowledge from other disciplines, from criminology, from political science into the business, into the management department. Another colleague of mine who's quite senior, who is a culture studies person, who basically teaches English literature, he will also be now taking a course on cultural studies in India, but from a critical perspective.
Correct.
Now, these are courses which you will not be able to find very easily in other business schools. For instance, I think I've already mentioned I'll be taking 2 or 3 courses. One connected with economic freedoms under the Constitution, another one on Indian policy and business, what Pinaki was outlining. And we are trying to get more of our colleagues, even younger colleagues who are teaching law subjects. They will be offering many law-based courses in the 3rd year when students can take electives. So we will offer options like media law, international trade law, tort law, because the faculty for these courses is already available for us, right? And the courses are going to be customized as per the needs of the BBA students.
Correct.
Obviously, the principles are similar to what is being taught in the law department or in the social science courses, but the delivery and the evaluation methods will be different. So like I said, because we are an interdisciplinary faculty and we are constantly talking to each other, the flavor of the program is also going to be deeply interdisciplinary. So it's not a conventional BBA, right? It's a BBA with a very strong social science component. And I think that would be a bit difficult for you to find in the other institutions. But having said it, there are also some weaknesses which we should identify and communicate to the applicants that this is still a very new program, started only last year. So obviously the development of the program will happen as you join. If you join this year, you will see an immediate senior batch and you will see the MBA students. So there will be 3 senior batches to you. And next year we will have a full cohort of 5 batches because we will have 3 BBA batches and 2 MBA batches. And then over 5 years, we will have the full integration happening. So in a way, you will see the program developing and growing around you. So in a way, you will be part of that thrill, part of that experiment. So one question that often comes from parents and others is, then why do you want to take a risk and join a new program? So which is why we spend so much time telling you that we have learned lessons from our older programs. The law program started in, the LLB program started in 1998. The LLM program started in 2002. The MBA program started in 2013. We also offer a PhD program. We have visiting elective courses. So we will be applying the lessons we have learned from all these programs into this. And the other great thing, which I think can be both a strength or a weakness, is that over time, these schools rely a lot on their alumni.
Yeah.
So for instance, even for the law graduates, it is basically people who graduated from here 10, 15 years ago who are more likely to come back and hire an NALSAR student, right?
Very true.
And we are already seeing it in our MBA department. Our MBA department has been around only for 9 years. So 8 batches have graduated, but already the people from the first 2-3 batches are coming back as recruiters, right? And as the school grows deeper, alumni start contributing in different ways. Just to give you an example, I studied at NLS Bangalore. So our alumni association in Bangalore is actually now pretty strong. They have job referrals. They contribute money to support current students with scholarships. And now with the VC also being an alumni there, the network has actually become stronger. And I visualize something similar happening for NALSAR, because even though NALSAR started 10 years later, but we have a similar sort of brand value and recognition, at least in the legal services market. True. So I think now by developing the management department, there will be similar payoffs and similar rewards, which will come in the future. So these are all aspects which I think an applicant should know about before they decide to fill up our form or to apply to us seriously. But at the same time, as I said, there are also weaknesses, that this is a new program, and of course it will take time to develop, and the tangible results in terms of employment will only come few years later.
Yeah.
I think, 10 years ago, what I would say is that this kind of awareness was not there in a student. But with growing exposure, I think definitely a student want to know. Even you won't believe we get calls and queries like in grade 12. Grade 12 is asking us what is the kind of package that a NALSAR, a student, a law aspirant from NALSAR, somebody who wants to be a part over there, will get. And at times we actually sit back and think that a grade 12th is asking for a package 5 years down the lane. Then we often pull them and tell them that, it's a national law university, it will give you great packages, and all those thoughts then come into the picture. So I'm somehow glad that, yes, if we are telling them honestly that these are the parameters, these are the aspects that you should definitely keep in mind while you're filling up a form for a particular university, because yes, another at least half of the decade or maybe beyond that is going to rely on this. So yes, we do tell them that have a conscious choice while filling. Because I remember 10 years ago when I was filling my forms, I was like, sab bhar do, kahin to lag jayega. I remember that. And now we tell them that no, make a conscious choice, be very mindful about what you are doing. So while sir was saying, I wrote a point, which is something really I would like to share. 2019, I was at IIM Indore doing a particular course from there. And I would not quote the names, but one of the professor, he was fantastic in everything, but probably, so when we had that peer learning and we had that group discussions, he was doing a great job. But we always heard from our seniors, did you know, this is the one who used to teach us and he was great at his job. So we had that fear of missing out all the time, that why are we not being taught by those teachers? So when sir was mentioning, I feel it is such a great thing that from different verticals, different teachers are coming in and teaching at the IPM program. Probably students won't have that thing कि यार हमको तो वो टीचर ने पढ़ाया ही नहीं है, because it's a very common thought that prevails कि this professor was so good in that batch and we have got somebody else. I'm not judging anybody but a student perspective, because 2019 probably I was a student back then and I realized that such thoughts do come in our mind. So I'm very happy to know that thought.
I think at NALSAR at least, and I must also confess that we have Siddharth who also champions the cause of the program. We have reached out to several people who are rated among the best, at least in the university. And once you open doors of the university and look outside, you will see people who are writing in Wire, who are very, very articulate in their thought, and their opinion is also fact-based. We are getting people who are known not only in the university but also outside as really good teachers and researchers to come into the program and deliver courses. And we try and as we promised, right? I recall that every time Siddharth reminds me, always remember your promise. So we promised that we will go all out in giving you the best in terms of education. I can guarantee you that not a single day goes by when both of us are not talking about what more to do. And that's, I think, one of the main reasons why the university and the program are growing.
And standing out, no doubt.
I can tell you that pick your phone up and dial any student, and ask them about their experience and on specific parameters of the questions that you've asked. I can assure you that they will tell you, I don't know how they have perceived it, but they'll definitely tell you that we have done our bit.
No, sir, I think it's going to be what I would say, that it's going to reflect in both ways. I'm very sure about it. There's no doubt in that the student is going to say anything else, because the way you are sharing your thoughts, the way you are sharing the insider things, probably it's not about that it's something confidential, but something that we should be knowing. And through us, through SuperGrads, we really want that the students should be aware what their choice is all about. So yeah, I am really...
देखिए हम तो public university, public scrutiny, public's question will never go unheard, and an answer is due, and when demanded will be given.
Very nice. So that's a fantastic
ऐसा कभी नहीं होगा कि हम आंसर ना दें या सवाल पूछ लिया तो उठ के चले जाएं, वो नहीं होगा कभी भी. The question might be might give us a bruise, but we will take it, and we'll take it in the right spirit. and we'll try and do what more needs to be done, because that's life, right? Today you have lived. For tomorrow, you will do whatever it takes. And for tomorrow, we will do whatever it takes.
So students, I would like to share something. The time we finalized this particular collaboration, I was very apprehensive, and I literally called up Pinaki sir and asked, sir, what kind of questions are you expecting? And today, probably the kind of approach, the kind of comfort I have in asking, the same I'm expecting in the chat box. You can ask anything, students, literally. Put it in the chat box. And yes, sir, I have one important thing. For example, if students somehow are not able to answer, you can just write your mail address where the students can directly get in touch. So yes, I'll put it in the chat box. So by the time, let's move ahead to the next part. Yeah. So there was one student who had asked a question. It's a little extended version of what the question is reflecting on the screen. That somebody who's extremely good at a particular co-curricular activity. Let's say somebody was asking that I'm very good at sports. So is there any added advantage that they get when it comes to getting admission to IPM Nalsar?
So I think the first advantage that you would get is with your confidence level, your interviews will probably be really good. You know competition. You have played competitive sport, which means you have come face to face with competition, and that will help you a lot, definitely. You are a team player, that also will help you. In terms of the interview and evaluation of merit, we don't presently have any sports
quota or something. Yeah,
we don't have a sports quota, in terms of therefore, in terms of selection, I think we can't really do much about it, owing to the sports that you have played. But yes, I have students who have played national level basketball, national level badminton, national level kickboxing, and they're all here, and we engage in friendly banter all the time.
Perfect. So the same question in a little different format, that beyond academics, what do we have in these 5 years that students should know, or they should get excited to be at IPM Nalsar?
So I'll give you a Nalsar specific answer,
sure,
because I'm also the faculty advisor for some of the student groups. So actually, one fact that I will admit is that the Nalsar campus is a little outside Hyderabad.
Yeah.
So if I don't know if you've been there, but I'm sure others in your organization would have come here. So the campus, when it was started in 1998, initially was in the city center, but it was a temporary campus. And Professor Ranbir Singh, who was our founder director, he was able to negotiate and get land near the Shamirpet area, which is actually quite far
outskirts of Hyderabad. All right.
So over time, some growth has happened. Like in the nearby village now, your basic shopping has improved. Some apartments have come up. So, but it's still a semi-rural area. So one thing I should be very frank about is that in comparison to colleges which are located in the center of a city, possibly your social life will not be the same. You will probably spend a lot more time on campus. Of course, we have students from Hyderabad who are locals, but we also require them to stay on campus because of the nature of the program being so intensive with the assignments.
100% residential.
Sorry?
100% residential, 5 years on
so
campus.
All our full-time programs, 5-year LLB, LLM, MBA, BBA, we ask them to be on campus. Only distance programs are a different deal.
Of course.
Those are anyway for working professionals, so they are done online. But for the full-time students, even the Hyderabad students are actually only commuting home on weekends or holidays, and they are here. So one point of concern is that what happens when students stay in the same campus throughout. So they need some outlet, they need some time to, take it easy. So within the campus, the basic sports facilities are there. There is a soccer field, there are basketball courts, there is a badminton court. We can't afford a swimming pool at the moment because of the water situation in Hyderabad. Those plans were made, but we abandoned them. But all the basic sports are there. And in fact, in the evening, if you walk around the campus, we have a 50-acre campus. About 15 acres in this campus is on the lake bed. So the Shamirpet lake is right next to us. And because of the heavy rains in the last 2 years, the lake is all filled up. So students in fact, we see them walking in the Shamirpet road in the morning, doing their jogging. In the evening, also people are cycling. So there is enough space for recreation. Also, remember, it is outside the city, gives you a huge advantage in terms of clean air, which certainly people from the NCR region might want. But in terms of social life, yes, I don't think we can compare it. In fact, because I interact more with the law students, they keep comparing with, NLS or NUJS or in New Delhi. So obviously, we don't offer the same sort of proximity to the city. But one thing is,
Siddharth, so yeah. Pinaki sir, if you can continue.
Yeah. So, yeah, I
5-day
mean,
week, and people do go to town. So now, in fact, the local transport has improved a lot. People can take the bus from Shamirpet, they can get taxis, and of course, they can pool with friends and go. And our students do go to the city to watch movies, to go to restaurants. But the social life is obviously not the same as a campus, which might be in the middle of a city. So that is one trade-off they should be prepared to make. But the good thing is, because they're on campus most of the time, I think the focus is more on the academics. So in terms of sports, also, I must say that for someone who is very serious about sport, someone who's played at the highest level, possibly the program is quite demanding. So for example, if your sport requires devoting multiple hours of training every day, that may not actually be possible. But definitely sports as recreation, sports as a measure of maintaining your fitness, those facilities are there. We have gyms for the students in the hostels. We have the playgrounds, and it is an open space and very conducive for walking and running in the neighborhood. In fact, even some of our faculty colleagues, they take walks next to the lake in the mornings, and you can see them.
I think that's a different kind of luxury. I don't look it up like, we don't have the luxury of not being in the center, versus I feel that it's a luxury of being on the outskirts and enjoying that beauty. As you're mentioning, I can just imagine that it is besides a lake and people walking around. I think it's like you want everything. That's not possible.
Yeah.
Probably we have the luxury of staying out on the outside, because we from Bhopal totally understand that people come from the NCR or that side, they're like, looking forward here, Bhopal is a beautiful thing. So exactly the same thought I have when it comes to the campus at NALSAR.
The other thing I want to say is that obviously the nearby villages have also grown in size. So when students come here, they come from different states, they speak other languages. Not everybody knows Telugu. The local population here is very friendly.
Yeah.
For instance, most of our non-teaching staff actually is from the nearby village. And the point is that, sometimes in many university campuses, there is this concern that outsiders will not be treated fairly. But actually, to be honest, I've been here for 9 years. Pinaki has been here for 9 years. We don't speak Telugu very well. In fact, we only follow a few words, but we've never had a problem.
No.
In fact, the nearby shopkeepers, the nearby village, Shamirpet village, the people are very, very polite. But students, of course, also need to know their limits. And that's something we have to coach them, because students also have to be responsible when they step outside the campus. But our experience here has been very positive. And unlike some other schools, where there have been issues of safety or clashes with locals, we have not had any problem of that kind. The people are friendly, the culture is very warm and hospitable. And Hyderabad in general, as you know, has people from everywhere. It's a very well integrated city. So in fact, if you go to Secunderabad, you will get all kinds of food.
Yeah.
You'll get the Nizami food, the Mughlai food, the Tamil food, the Andhra food, you will get everything. So I think for even people who come from other parts of the country, it's a good cultural education to come to a place like Hyderabad. And we also encourage our students that don't be stuck on academics all the time. Of course, we will give you a hard time inside the classroom. But once you're out, then you also go and explore and you travel and go.
The holistic development is what you're probably wanting the student to have. That's very nice, sir. Because I totally relate that people coming from different backgrounds normally have that, कि पता नहीं down south जाके how the language is a big barrier. All these thoughts are already a preconceived thing in their mind. So I'm glad that you clarified it. The point on safety, which you mentioned, because nowadays, so maybe in the past 5 years, this concern of safety has increased a lot, especially when I still talk to girls. I convince them they really are worried about that, parents will not allow us down there. And then when we ask that what is the reason, the only reason is safety, that they don't find that confidence in doing it.
In fact, Sukriti, this is an important point, which we didn't highlight in the last admission cycle. Even we get those questions from parents informally. My experience interacting with female students is that many of them feel much safer in Hyderabad than many other cities of the country.
Correct.
And I don't want to make comparisons, but let's say places which are closer to my home state are not my home state is Haryana, so you can put two
already
together.
I can relate.
Yeah, so
and put the strings together.
Especially students from the north, a lot of female students who I interact with, especially law students, have told me, because IPM, I have not had that sort of interaction with them in the last 3 months, but law students, I interact with third-year students throughout the year. And many of the women students felt that their self-confidence levels have improved after coming to NALSAR. Not just because of the campus culture is quite liberal. That can also cause its own problems. There can be a culture shock for people from conservative families. But outside also in Hyderabad, it's very safe. For example, many of our female students report to us that if they go to Secunderabad to eat out or to watch a film, they can easily come back in the local bus in a group, and no problem. They can easily get cabs and autos. And I mean, we've not heard of any incident in the last few years.
That's really nice, sir, because I me myself being a female, I can understand how important this is, because traveling alone also at times we need to have that sense of security. Probably 5 years is a long time when we are spending time on campus and beyond that. So, of course, my next question was, I think I missed on a question. Yeah, okay. So see, we already know that the program is a little on the expensive end, and students do ask us that, do we have any kind of scholarships that are being offered to anybody who is a potential IPM NALSAR aspirant?
Siddharth.
We have a need-based scholarship program.
All right.
Earlier it used to, sorry, I'm just closing the chat box for myself.
All right, sir.
Okay, so if you can hear me, sorry, I'm right. So we have a scholarship committee which is set up, and they look at the cases of students who are not able to afford the fee. So basically at the stage of admission, it doesn't matter what your income level is. If you're clearing the entrance test and you're getting admitted, your seat is secured. And we follow the principle that once you're admitted into the program, then financial reasons should not be a reason for you to leave the program. So what happens is, as you join the program every year, you're asked to fill up a scholarship application form, and we give 3 kinds of assistance.
Okay.
So one is for students who are eligible for central or state government scholarships, especially SC and ST students. We help them with their application. We provide the supporting documents so that they're able to get the government scholarships.
All right.
The central government, Ministry of Social Justice gives scholarships for SC students. The Ministry of Tribal Affairs gives scholarships for ST students, and Telangana government also, because we have some seats reserved for Telangana students.
Correct.
They also give scholarships for, especially for SC, ST students. But for general students whose income levels might be low, we have an internal procedure where you apply to our scholarship committee and say that your family income or your financial means are limited. So there, I think you are asked to produce proof of your family income. And then based on your financial status, the school gives you fee waivers, which means that out of the total fee for that 1 year, a certain portion will be taken away. There have been a few cases where students have come from very difficult backgrounds and their entire fee has also been waived. But what we do find is that many of our students are able to easily earn much more after graduating.
I see.
So the fee waiver program actually has increased in size. I think when Professor Faizan Mustafa had joined in NALSAR in 2012, the amount used to be very less. But last year, and I think Pinaki was part of the committee in a few years. This year, the allotment for scholarships is almost 1 crore. So which means
that's fantastic.
Nearly 45 to 50 students are getting fee waivers from the university. But this is the second route, because the first route is, of course, government scholarships. The second route is the internal committee, which will look at your case individually, interact with you, and then identify what you need. The third route, of course, is softer bank loans, where the university will become the guarantor and you can take an educational loan, and the university becomes the guarantor for your loan. And that is being done because there is a confidence that once people graduate, they'll be able to easily pay back the loans. So these are the 3 routes that we give. So the second route has really improved in the last few years, because I think our financial situation has also improved.
Correct. So that's really nice, because students, many a times we have seen that students do perform very well. They do even clear the interview, but then they are very they doubt that, okay, this is the problem. They are not very open about sharing it up, and they think that, I don't know whether we should ask for scholarship or not. And I think this is the best medium where we can tell them, this is the best platform where we can make them aware that there are institutions genuinely looking forward for genuine individuals, the ones who have cleared the interview. And if finances is a problem, then probably, so we have people like you who are helping the students out.
Just to give you the numbers, in this year, our current full-time student strength was around 850 students.
All right.
And out of 850, 50 were getting the benefit of fee waiver.
That's a huge number, of course.
Right. And some others were, of course, getting central government scholarships. Some would have taken loans, and the number would be more, because sometimes loans are not reported to us. If parents are privately taking loans, then we will not know.
Correct.
But the university does give a bank loan facility with our partner bank, Indian Bank, and the university becomes the guarantor. But then, of course, you have to repay that loan within a fixed time. But for students who are coming from, let's say, rural backgrounds, tribal backgrounds, where the family income is not much, the fee waiver policy, in fact, is actually quite liberal. True. I mean, I can't think of a single student who has left NALSAR because of financial problems in the last 7 to 8 years.
So I think one addition here to what Siddharth has said, because I'm in the committee, I can tell you that some of our students get central government scholarships, some others get some state government scholarships as well. Be it from Madhya Pradesh, or be it from Telangana, be it from different states. Now, sometimes what happens is the state government's scholarship is less than what they actually require, a little bit less. There is a margin, there's a gap between how much they need and how much they get. Even that gap is filled by the NALSAR scholarship committee.
Oh, that's really nice, because, again, I'm saying that the people don't know this. Students don't know this, sir. I mean, even if they'll come and, that's the only option we give is bank loans. And we bluntly say, and in fact, you won't believe, we tell them, ye kaisa question hai? Isme to bank loan hi hai na answer. But probably when you're answering this, it is giving even us insights into, okay, this is also an avenue. This is also a route through which you can, a route on which you can walk.
Absolutely. Just Siddharth ne kaha, just because you don't have money does not make you, we don't discriminate between one who has and one who has not. The society has to be as equal as possible.
Correct. Very true, sir.
So, and Sukriti, I should tell you, all the national law schools, all 23 NLUs are technically state universities, but they're covered by the central government scholarship schemes.
All right.
Especially for SC/ST students.
Yes.
So if you have students who are coming from Dalit and Adivasi backgrounds, who are unsure, please tell them that if you get into any national law university, you are eligible for the central government scholarship.
Central government scholarship.
And in some states are giving scholarships, some are not, but definitely the national law schools give a lot of protection in this matter.
I'll certainly make a note of this, because yes, students do ask us, and this kind of information, so we can only get in such platforms, such conversations. Probably I might call up for a particular set of questions, but this level, this depth of knowledge, only such kind of platforms we can get. So, sir, personal interview question probably was already answered, so I don't think I should pick that up again. But because we were talking about the fees, if in just maybe we can just get to know the exact amount at what the students have to pay for the 5 years.
Sukriti, our annual fees are right now same. Every year the fee remains the same. It's 4,02,000 rupees per annum.
All right.
The first year of admission, you pay 4,22,000, and the 20,000 is like a security deposit that we have. We return it back to you upon the completion of the program. They are for library, internet, and all of those charges. That is returned back. In the 4,02,000, your hostel is covered. Everything, all facilities are covered. And then access to the simulation software that I just told you, that is covered. Access to all e-learning softwares is covered. So you have, I don't know how many ebooks that we have now, maybe running into lakhs now, but all of the resources are covered. Your tuition fee is covered. Everything is covered apart from the mess charges. Because that depends on how many people you eat in the mess.
Okay. All right.
So that is not covered in the fee.
Just to clarify, the mess is actually because it's an external contractor.
Correct.
So the students pay a flat amount, and then whatever they consume is deducted and the amount is returned to them.
Yeah.
So mess is separate, but 4 lakhs includes your tuition fee, your hostel rent, your basic facilities, internet access, everything. Yeah.
Everything, including Sukriti, if I may just add. So this money also has components wherein it gets, a portion of it gets into the pool for student activities like participating in case studies, international case study events, internationally or nationally, presenting papers, going out to attend other events, and then scholarships. All of those are actually covered in this only same fees. So yeah, I mean, I recall that you noted that the fees is on the higher side, but For the 5 years, our fees is 20 lakhs and 10,000 rupees.
Correct. So what I understand is that a little funny way to put it, but probably the right way, that the amount that is charged from the students is spent in the right way. That's what I understand. And that's what probably the student wants to hear, that is the money that I'm putting in is going to be spent in a way which is worth it by the end of 5 years.
Absolutely, absolutely. It includes everything. Yes, sports, internet, electricity, water,
and also,
housekeeping.
Since this session might be seen by parents, I think they should go in and compare with other residential programs.
Yeah.
Because definitely, I think with the IIMs offering residential programs, their fees would be higher than us.
Yes.
But if you look at some of the affiliated colleges or older colleges which have a BBA, BCom, they would be cheaper than us. But remember, the cheaper programs are likely to be day scholar colleges. And they will not offer residential facilities. So if parents are looking at NALSAR as an option, please compare us with full-time residential colleges.
Yes.
Then you will have a much more reliable indicator.
Clarity and reliability, correct. So because we were talking about, the companies in between, the kind of, because how the students are going to repay the loan back, do we have any idea, or maybe the kind of companies that might come to college in 2026 to absorb the first batch? Yeah.
Yes. So I will start that answer with a caveat. Many startups which started and became very close to becoming unicorns post the pandemic are facing serious issues. So that with that caveat, I will say that yes, I can probably estimate which kind of companies will come, because some of them have been coming to us every year, be it ICICI, Deloitte, KPMG, or ADP. These are some of the companies which keep coming every year. So I can tell you that these are established companies, and they will probably they'll probably remain in operation for a very long time. So this is the kind of companies which come. And on an average, the MBA students right now, the average pay for the MBA students right now is at about 8 to 8.5 lakhs. Now I'll tell you two reasons for that. One, of course, is that majority of we have a very small batch. Only about 40 to 50 students are there in the MBA level, which basically means that it is easier for us to bring in only such companies which offer similar pay.
Correct.
Now, had that range been 200 or 300 students, that average would have been far lower, because some would get 20 lakhs, but majority would get 4 lakhs, right? But for us, because the numbers is very low, the denominator remains to be only 40. So the average is at 8.5 lakhs. Now imagine, for an MBA program, the total fees of both the years put together is 8 lakhs.
Okay. And
the average pay that you get per annum is 8 lakhs. So your ROI is actually 1 year.
True, correct.
And for our IPM program, of course, we will keep the first batch will graduate in 2026. By that time, I can guarantee you that will be our attempt, that the ROI is in 1 year. That is our aim. The ROI of your complete investment has to be in 1 year. So if your CTC if somebody gets a CTC of 20 lakhs, then your ROI is in exactly 1 year. And that's correct. The aim that we have.
So that's fantastic, because the stress the students have when they especially take loans, we often propagate this fact that, okay, the loan repayment you can done maybe by 1.5 years, and that's what you've validated today. Correct, so that's a fantastic thing.
Correct.
So since we have come to the almost end of the session, so before I actually take up tips from you, I would like to take students' questions, and let me just get, So a question was there, I can't really read, somebody by the name Bhavsar. So does a dropper get any type of disadvantage in the process of admission at NALSAR, or there is similarity between a dropper and a 12th pass?
No, not at all, because you have to go by the parameters. The entrance exam, one of the 5, that they will be normalized. Then class 10 scores, class 12 scores interview. There is no distinction.
No.
Perfect.
Everything is normalized, Sukriti. So your entrance exam scores, once we receive from the students, we put them into this software, and the software normalizes the scores. We do not put age into the normalization factor, because as I told you, in our CLAT undergraduate program, there is no age bar.
Age gap, correct.
So because there is no age bar, dropper or no dropper, we don't distinguish between one over the other.
True. There's a question which was actually my next slide, and a similar question the student by the name Vijay, I think I'm pronouncing the name correctly. Yeah, Vijay had asked, what kind of skills is NALSAR looking forward in a student, and how can we improve that? Okay, my question is a forward integration. All right. So what kind of skills is NALSAR looking forward in a student, and how can a student improve that? Okay, anybody, yeah.
So yeah, I think the question essentially requires us to summarize whatever we have been discussing since the beginning of this interview. But I can tell you that, and through you to everybody who is interested, not only in our program, but also in any other, that it's very, very important that you develop a skill of analysis and then creating an opinion. Do not believe in, I think I can now say it, but rather than believing in WhatsApp University, please read as many pieces as possible. If something interests you, do not confine yourself to only one source of data. Validate that information from various sources of data. If there is an issue of, let's say there is an issue of gas price or inflation, if you read one side, if you read newspapers or sources which are left oriented, then you will get one side of the story. If you read it on the absolute other end of the spectrum, right side agenda, then you will read another side of the story. But until and unless you read 5 different stories, you can't form an opinion. So for tomorrow's business leaders, it is extremely essential that you develop this skill of reading, analyzing, and then formulating an opinion. Yes, maths is important. Today, the world is data driven. Our courses are also in sync with it. We offer many advanced level data science courses. But at the same time, as I told you, we believe strongly that it is only the human ingenuity which will drive all of this innovation. And being rooted to who we are as human beings is very important. That's the skill that you should have. As a human being, understand that you bring value when your opinion is validated by facts.
True. So, when you were mentioning about newspaper, trust me, you can even watch a couple of videos where we tell students that read a newspaper, not a views paper, because because they ask us why the Hindu, why the Indian Express, because they are difficult newspapers to comprehend. And then we often tell them the tactics, the way how to read it, because we do understand that it takes a lot of time to read the entire newspaper. And that is why, we even have dedicated classes that we take, where we are teaching them how to go ahead with that. And for students who fear that, how to go ahead with reading, we tell them that read the right blogs. We tell them Bar and Bench, we tell them Livewire, Locktopus. There are so many, at least for the law graduates, I know, law aspirants, I know that we do propagate these platforms, these blog sites that you should go and read. So I'm very happy to see and learn that this is exactly what we as, looking forward for students probably look at, that, yeah, this is what we are expecting.
Sukriti, this is a strong belief that I have in my mind, at least. If you do not do the difficult thing, you will no more be different, because the easy thing everybody will do.
Everybody is doing. Correct.
Yeah?
True, sir. Yes,
I
absolutely.
Think Siddharth, if he wants to add something.
No, I just wanted to reinforce the point that you make, because I know for an average school-leaving student, reading the opinion pieces is not easy. I mean, I can picture myself as a 17-year-old in 1999, and I would have found it difficult. But the reason why it's important is because, remember, once you're entering the college curriculum, the level of reading that you will have to do is at a higher level. Yeah. So between that, school textbook and the kind of journal articles and case studies that you have to read in your BBA and MBA, the newspaper opinion pieces are the bridge. Yeah. They will enable you to make that transition. And if you don't put in that effort now, at the time of preparing for entrance exams or preparing for your first year of college, then the later transition becomes very difficult.
It's a rough road for them inside.
It's a bit like saying, if you've been playing gully cricket, but now you want to get into an IPL team, there has to be a certain level of skills training and exposure which helps you get there. You can't straight away make the jump just based on your talent. You have to go through a process to get there. And I'm happy to see that you guys are also doing tutorials based on current affairs, because remember, it's not the exact same knowledge that the students have to remember. It is the method of reading.
Exactly. I was about to add that it's a methodology that we are trying to inculcate in the student and so you won't believe we do it on a daily basis just because we want to tell them that this is the way you should go ahead. Maybe after watching a couple of videos, you might inculcate the habit by yourself, and that is what the ultimate outcome we are wanting the students to understand.
Very nice.
So, okay. So the question,
because one problem these days is, and I'm sure everybody, even in your age group, might be facing is, I mean, why your age group? I'm almost 40 and people in my age group are doing it. Is that relying upon the smartphone for everything?
Oh, very true.
That's a bad idea. That's a bad idea. Because the moment you go to your customized Google feed or your Facebook page or your LinkedIn page, remember, you're only seeing things which your friends are sharing. Or things which your like-minded people are sharing. Or things which you have previously searched for, and the feed generates what you're interested in. But that is limiting your worldview, right? You're entering what is called an echo chamber, where only people with similar views are being exposed to you, and you only want to interact with them. Then suddenly, if you interact with someone with a different standpoint, or somebody with whom you have not interacted for a long time, you don't know how to respond.
Plus, we become in a difficult zone as well, because we don't know how to do that.
And it's more of a problem with middle-aged people. I mean, both of us are, my Pinaki and me are now middle-aged people. So we realize it's more of a problem in our age group, because young people are still open to contesting ideas and debating freely. So please don't fall into that trap. And having a rigorous education, whichever discipline you choose. See, not all of you will get into the law school of your choice or a business school of your choice. We know that. But whichever college you go to, whichever discipline you pursue, having a critical approach to knowledge creation is very important. And that is something that we emphasize right through our curriculum.
Very nice. So because, probably that's what even we are wanting the students to inculcate in them. So, so I have a question by a student by the name Suraj. Ma'am, I came to know that the IPM course is not BBA plus MBA, but BA plus MBA. But on the website, it's mentioned that it's BBA plus MBA in NLU's website. So can you please clear this doubt, and how much is it different from the program in Indore and Ranchi? Oh my God, so many questions in one paragraph. This person needs to learn comprehension properly. And is dance, drama, and music also part of the NS? So I'll break it for you.
It's okay. It's okay.
All right, sir. So BBA and BA, the first question was that.
The first question, of course, is simple. IIM Indore gives a BA and MBA degree, but we do not. We give a BBA and MBA degree, where there is an exit after the BBA.
I was about to ask that question, that do we have an exit option?
Yes. You have an exit option after 3 years of completing the BBA, and of course, the requirement of the course. So there are requirements, and these requirements are not hidden. They are in the manual of policy, which is uploaded onto our website as well. And you don't need any registration for that. You can download and read it as such. It's in the public domain. So that's your BBA. We do not offer BA. It's a plain BBA plus MBA, 3 years and 2 years.
Perfect.
What was the other question?
The question was, how much is it different from Indore? I think that is already being answered. And is dance, drama, and music a part of the course?
Not formally, but we have had visiting courses where we've invited theatre practitioners and music people. But what happens is we make them part of the visiting courses. So they will not be part of your core courses, but in your visiting courses, sometimes these activities will get represented. But apart from that, if the student clubs also are always inviting artists. And if they want to organize a workshop, the university supports them. So in the co-curricular space, definitely these activities are represented. But as far as the courses are concerned, whether it is BA, LLB or BBA, MBA, which are two different programs, in both programs, in some of the visiting electives, we have done it. So for example, 3 years ago, we had a famous theatre director coming and spending 1 month on campus and producing 2 plays with our students. And just to incentivize students, we give them some credits, which were added to their visiting elective courses. So the same thing will be done with the IPM students. As far as music is concerned, there are lots of campus activities and local college festivals where students can take part and go to. But what I wanted to say is that those who are very serious about these activities, for example, someone who's learning classical dance or someone who's a trained musician but wants to improve it, there obviously there will be a trade-off between the time that you're spending on academics and the time that you can give to your co-curriculars. And I'm saying this from personal experience because when I was a law student in Bangalore between 2003 and 8, when I had entered the program, I used to be very keen on theatre. I had done lots of street plays in high school and I thought I'll go to Bangalore and do something similar. But with the coursework, it was just not possible. I mean, initially just passing the courses and surviving in the system. So my high school interest in theatre then just did decline, but I did have classmates, who were very keen and they went on and made productions. But at that time, it was not represented in the curriculum. So in NALSAR, we are trying to find a space where at least in the visiting electives, we were discussing this, that apart from public speaking, we should also invite external resource persons for theatre, for music and dance, so that students will have that spread. But obviously it will be a small component. I mean, you can't expect it to be the main component.
Greater chunk, yeah.
Also, Sukriti, I believe that, unlike Siddharth, of course, I have never been able to express myself through street plays and theatre.
All right.
But I played a little bit of basketball. But, at NALSAR, we also strongly believe in choice, right? I mean, imagine if suddenly I am in a class and Siddharth is in the same class and the institute wants me to take the course, mandatory course on theatre. अब मैं यार मैं वहाँ पे जाके करूँगा क्या? And the only time I have played a part in a theatre, not in a theatre, but in a play, and that was in school, was to play a sleeping boy. Well, that's as far as I have gone, right? I mean, imagine. So rather than forcing everybody into theatre, everybody into music, and everybody into martial arts, rather than that, let's create workshops around these programs, and that's the plan. That we will have workshops where those who are interested in theatre will do the workshop on theatre. Those who are interested in music will do the workshop on music. And those who are onto dance, they will do on dance. That way the students will get more option and also based on their own choices, right? And rather than putting down everybody and saying, "Ab nacho," everybody will now have to dance. Kya karenge?
Correct.
So though some of our staff were suggesting that this time we should play Natu Natu in the orientation.
Which one?
Some of our staff was suggesting that this time in the orientation we should simply play Natu Natu. Because for outsiders now, Ramcharan and Junior NTR are the faces of Hyderabad.
Yeah, so it's this song from the movie.
No, he's seen it.
No, I haven't seen it actually. So I was for a second, I thought, "Yaar, ye kaun sa gana hai?"
RRR.
Some of our staff members were suggesting that for outsiders now we should play that song as a welcoming song.
Are you going to do that?
No, not in our orientation. Maybe in the student freshers party they can think about it.
They can do that.
Yeah, but not the formal orientation is going to be
of course,
that's very formal.
Bureaucratic process. Yeah.
All right. So I'll take up a couple of questions from our YouTube people. So they are watching us live even right now. And okay, so one student by the name Lakshya has that. What is the NIRF ranking in management when it comes to the IPM NALSAR program? Yeah.
So, Sukriti and of course to Lakshya, the NALSAR is a university and therefore participates in the NIRF as a single unitary university. And we are only a department under the university and therefore we don't apply separately to the NIRF.
All right.
So NALSAR's NIRF ranking as of now is either 2 or 3. That is a composite of how NALSAR performs in its all available programs, not just one, right? So there are faculty and students of management, there are faculty and students in law, there are faculty and students in distance education, there are staff who operate for the whole university. All of this together gives NALSAR its NIRF rank. So we don't actually separately apply to NIRF. And also, apart from that, ranking also creates a certain kind of bias in the minds of the students.
Okay? Very true.
Sometimes, in economics, there's something called a Giffen good, right? I mean, you walk out and then you leave out what is the most essential. And today, we are all running after millets. Millets which nobody used to eat. And they used to say this is the poor man's food. Today, everybody wants to eat millet, paying 5 times the money.
Very true.
Right. So I understand that the students should be concerned about the NIRF ranking, and it gives them an indication, a parameter, but that they should probably corroborate it with a lot more than just the unitary rank.
Very true. So we probably say a couple of similar things in the similar line of interest, because yeah, they do ask us about the same, and we tell them that don't just look at the college based on that, but look at the extensiveness of the program, what they are offering you. Of course, being a national law school in itself is a parameter for them, but then after that also they do ask us this question. So yeah. The same boy has a question that do we have any exchange program, like an international exchange or something?
So I'm actually also in that committee. So basically, some of the MOUs which we had entered were initially largely for the law school. So some of these MOUs were signed in 2006. Some of them were signed in 2011-12. So far, the exchange program has been limited to the 4th and 5th year students in the BA LLB program.
Okay.
But we are in the process of drafting the regulations to include the IPM students. And some of the MOUs that we already have also are with universities. So for example, a few MOUs are with other law schools, but a few MOUs are with the larger university systems. So with that, we can also initiate exchange with the business schools in those universities. In fact, last week, I was representing the IPM department at a meeting in Delhi to work out a fresh MOU with a Canadian university. But even within our existing MOUs, there are at least 4, which are with the larger universities. So by the time our students enter the latter part of their studies, at least 4 to 5 students every semester or every term will get an opportunity to go on exchange.
All right. So
and some of these MOUs, some of them are active in Singapore, in Switzerland, in Israel, in Australia, a few in the US. But we'll have to obviously specifically negotiate and talk about the IPM and build a connection with their business programs.
Very true.
Because our existing connections are largely with the LLB or
law. Yeah. True. Sir, I think I have the questions that are there. We've already answered by and large all of them, because there's similar replicating questions in both the chat boxes I can see. So I'm sure we've come to the last leg, and the most important thing that I would like to hear on SuperGrads platform, that any tip that individually you would like to give to the students when it comes to choosing the program, writing the exams, or whatsoever it is. Yeah, Pinaki, sir.
If you ask me personally, then I would tell all the students here, don't get overloaded with expectations that are not your own. Many a times we live our lives with expectations of others, parents, wife, girlfriend, brother, sister. Your life today is at a very critical juncture. Create your own expectations, because it is only you who knows yourself best. Nobody else does. No one else knows you as best as you do. So create your own expectations, map those expectations out, and then pursue a career which leads you towards that expectation. It can include your passions as well. Now, for all of this, we at DOMS at least, and at NALSAR, we do something called a career canvas. But that is only one part of your expectation. Your expectation can be much larger, but just so that you see a picture in front of you about your own career, we do something called a career canvas initiatives, the CCI. And it is done with all the students. There are 9 different components to it. I actually published a paper on that as well. And there are 9 components to it, which tries and maps your motivations, drive, expectations to the reality, your capability. Sometimes we expect a lot, right? I mean, sometimes I sleep and in the middle of the night, I expect, bas Modi ke baad main. Baat sahi hai. You can create those expectations for yourself.
True.
But then what I do is I lack everything in between my expectation and the reality.
True.
I have no motivation. I have no drive. I have no capability. है ना? तीनों ही चीजें नहीं है, but expectation जरूर है. तो वो भी नहीं होना चाहिए. है ना? आप अपने अंदर झांक के देखें. Whatever you can do best, create that expectation, and then do not sleep till you achieve what you have dreamt for yourself.
All right. Siddharth, sir.
See, I mean, choosing a college and, studying at this time is always an important decision. For many people, the decision that you make at the age of 18 or 19, will have consequences for the rest of your career. For instance, if you choose a good institution which supports your growth intellectually, emotionally, socially, it's actually an investment not for that ROI. It's an investment for the next 50, 60 years.
The compounding effect, I feel.
And I know Professor Rajkumar, who is the VC at Jindal, he keeps saying this, that I know we are an expensive institution, but your education is an investment for the next 50, 60 years. I'll put it slightly differently, that it's not so much an investment in the strict sense. It's basically giving you opportunities which at the moment you can't visualize.
Correct.
So what happens is that at the moment when you're leaving class 12, or even if, let's say, you've been at home for 1 or 2 years thinking about which college to go to, a lot of your decisions are based on what your immediate peers are telling you, right?
Okay.
What your former classmates or current classmates are saying, like what Pinaki said, what your immediate family members are saying, and what your particular location or your town, what kind of exposure you've been through. But remember, a majority of the people who are in your immediate vicinity themselves may not have really seen or explored the opportunities that lie in front of you.
Yeah.
And for those of us, especially people who grew up, let's say, in smaller towns, who feel that there's a larger world to explore, remember, sometimes you have to take risks. You have to step outside your comfort zone. There will be situations where your family will tell you, but we want you to study in the hometown or within our state. I think at the college level, one should get out. Even if you have spent 12, 13 years in the safety of your home, right? It is important for you to get out for some time as a young adult. Even if you have been a hosteler or in a boarding school setup, obviously then you are much better prepared for the campus experience, but it might just be a change in location.
Correct. I think we agree.
Other fact, it's
yeah,
also a cultivation of a larger ethos, which is important for you. And that is something I think Pinaki is already outlining in his own way. But I would say that apart from learning for the profession and learning for the trade that you want to be part of, education also has a civilizing role, right? It shows you how to think about foreign cultures. It shows you how to think about people who are different from you. And even in a national institution like NALSAR, for instance, you will have people speaking 20 different languages outside the classroom. You will have food cultures, dressing cultures, which you have not encountered. So for many people, that would be the real value addition. And remember, we are not the only institution. I mean, the law program, there are dozens of other schools which are offering a similar quality of education. Business school, we are a relatively new entrant, so we are finding our way. But we will make
But I'm sure in a very beautiful way, what I understood so far.
Yeah. So we'll make an honest effort to give you an intensive education. But what happens when you're 35, 45, 55, 65, 75 is in your hands.
Correct, correct. So, so I skipped the slide on Ask Us Anything because I've already picked up almost all the questions because they were very repetitive questions as well. So I just thought, okay, let us just by and large club all of them and answer it accordingly. So, of course, I mean, there are no words to, which I can put and tell that how much effort you guys have put in just to express each and every thought. And maybe, your just not the wise words that you've given to the students, but also the news that you have given has helped not just us to magnify our cause, but also directly to what students were expecting. So I really, really thank you from the bottom of my heart. They're not just words, because on a fine Saturday, spending 2 hours with us, and for our students, it's like something really important. So the team SuperGrads definitely would like to thank you, sir. To all the viewers who were there with us constantly for the past 2 hours, I'm sure you guys are excited to join the program. And of course, you'll find the details in the chat box very soon. We're going to put it up again. So that's it, sir. Thanks a lot. Thank you, Pinaki, sir. Thank you, Siddharth, sir.
Thank you, Sukriti. It was lovely talking to you. I hope our words have helped.
Definitely.
We wanted to necessarily just tell you who we are.
True.
This is not a solicitation discussion where we are going to go all out and say, "Bhai, bas apply kar dena, link jo hai, like, subscribe, and whatever."
Not at all. No, but then that becomes a mandate since you made me remind that. Okay,
No,
students,
don't. Don't. They will find us. If we are good enough, they'll find us.
Of course, sir. That's absolutely there. That goes unsaid. That goes absolutely natural, organic. And I'll make sure, sir, that this video is definitely, spread across, because we want students to know that how beautiful and thoughtfully the program is done. Not just for the sake of collaborative marketing and branding. I would really make that aloud, say that aloud, that yes, it was not just that kind of an activity, but also to tell each and every one of you that how rigorous, amazing, and thoughtfully, as I just said it before, the program is. So students should definitely be aware of the same. Thank you once again, Siddharth sir. Thank you, Pinaki sir. So I'll take a bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.